From Vancouver to Halifax, Flin Flon to Estevan, he's covering everything that matters to you. It's the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hey, good morning, Canada. Welcome to the Rod Pedersen Show. And we say hello to Canadian sports fans around the world. Welcome to the program on this Wednesday, November the 27th. Coming to you from the bunker out here in Western Canada. Welcome to Canada's only morning sports coffee table show. I'm your host, Rod Pedersen, as the sign says. He's the co-host, Darren Dupont. Good morning, Dupes.
Good morning.
We talk about famous teams, and maybe one day we'll be a famous team. We're a team right now, just not a famous one. Sort of like Stabler and Benson.
I need a picture.
Benson and Hedges?
No.
Oh.
The cigarettes. Where's the photo, boys?
I didn't know that their names...
Is this Law and Order?
Yes, yes, it's Law and Order.
Yeah,
it's
okay.
Elliot Stabler and Olivia Benson.
I like it.
Wow, and we're off to a great start. Welcome, everybody. But, here is DuPont making me look us all so shabby. I'm wearing my Hanley Sabres football hoodie, bunny hug,
sharp.
if you will. I love it. I just figured I'm in the closet thinking, you know what? I need to start wearing some of these hoodies that all these teams are giving me as I travel around. And tomorrow I'm going to be in Moose Jaw talking to the Peacock High School football team. I got to start wearing this stuff. They're giving it to me. And then you show up like you're going to a wedding. Or do you have a job interview today?
No.
Is there something you want to tell us?
Just doing business. Just doing business. In the business of doing business.
In the business of doing business.
But it's funny, for the first however many weeks of this show, I kind of wore, this is what I wear a lot of times, doing
and we've
games
dragged you down.
And then I've just gotten more and more comfortable, and I start wearing, a little bit of my, evening wear, my weekend wear, I guess.
Something more comfortable.
Where is this going? And now I put a suit back on, and now it's a problem. It's the same thing.
Getting ribbed.
It's like this show. I started and I had the beard, which I didn't have really until this summer, and all of a sudden everybody doesn't know me without it.
It is a Hanley Sabres hoodie. Yes, Kyle Halverson, that's what I'm wearing today. We got breaking news. Breaking news as we go to air. The Edmonton Eskimos have fired head coach Jason Maas. I have the Canadian Press alert up in front of me. The CFL team finished at 8-10 this year. The Eskimos made the playoffs as a crossover team, but dropped a 36-16 decision to Hamilton in the Eastern Division Final. Maas posted a 39-33 regular season record over 4 seasons as coach in Edmonton. There's no immediate word on a replacement. So breaking news as we go to air this morning across the country. The Edmonton Eskimos are looking for a coach. We got a lot of topics to get to today. The Bill Peters thing, emerging story or evolving story, I guess. He's still the coach of the Calgary Flames for now. Shame on Sportsnet for reporting yesterday he'd been fired. Double shame on you guys. This whole world of you want to be first rather than right? And they got caught on it. Nobody's holding their feet to the fire on that. That's a pretty big gaffe. Rich Sutter will be with us, 13-year NHL veteran, now a Columbus Blue Jackets pro scout. Michael Landsberg from TSN's, what's the name of that show? First Up, Clark? First Up on TSN 1050. And Don Unamba will be with us of the Edmonton Eskimos. That's in hour 2. He'll be talking about the firing of his coach, among other things. Jim Hobson will be in the bunker with us in hour 2 as well. And Global Regina's Taylor Shire, our director of officiating, will be joining us here in the bunker, Taylor Shire. But I told Jared Dumba that we would be bringing him on once hockey season started, and it is here. How you doing, Jared? Good morning. Welcome to the bunker.
Well, thanks. And I like the digs.
It's pretty cool, isn't it?
Good to be here. Yeah.
As you noticed very early on, it's like a locker room in here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can notice that right away. I could hang out here all day.
Good. Well, you're welcome to. For the viewers that don't know who Jared Dumba is, it just said on the lower third, as they say, former pro hockey player and Regina Pat's color commentator. We only have 2 hours, so can you name the teams you played with? Fast.
Saskatoon Blades, Notre Dame Hounds, and then in pro, Oklahoma City, Tulsa Oilers, Indianapolis Ice, Austin Ice Bats, and the Flint Generals.
Good.
There we go.
Got a durable suitcase.
No CTE.
Not just a hat rack.
No CTE there.
Not just, yeah.
You can rattle them all off like nothing. So these are the topics. So I had them all written down here. I mentioned Bill Peters has not been fired. The investigation ongoing for the Flames. He won't be on the bench tonight as the Flames were at Buffalo. Babcock fallout. I can't believe the media that's tap dancing on Babcock's grave right now. I really can't. I'm not going to name them specifically, but I find it a little funny that a week earlier, they'd all been hey, how's it going, Babs? In the media room before Leafs games, and now they've all turned on him. Funny how that's changed. The Bomber Parade, got that photo ready, Clark. Chris Streveler, they're comparing him to Alex Ovechkin. People are saying, is Chris Streveler the Alex Ovechkin of this championship run for the, hey, I like it. I like it.
Love it.
The Grey Cup parade, I thought, was quite Winnipegish, and what I mean by that is everybody running around half-clothed and various states of inebriation. Yeah. And by the way, good for you. That's the way you should do it. It's funny watching it. They're having so much fun over there. And not just the players, but the fans too.
Oh, yeah. They are having a great time. And now, we talked about yesterday all of the complaints about, well, what time's the parade at? You waited 29 years and now you're complaining about the time of the parade.
That's hilarious.
It's not coming down your street in front of your house or whatever.
That's great.
But they've now planned all these Winnipeg Bomber weekend events and parties this coming weekend. So there's all these different Grey Cup celebrations happening this weekend. They're having their own mini Grey Cup festival. So that's pretty cool.
It's all awesome. I say bravo, Winnipeg. I just hats off to you guys. Just things that we have here. One of our sponsors, Ian Crosby from Sask Snow Beef. That is the special Wagyu beef, superior marbling in taste. Try it for yourself, Sask Snow Beef. You can have it get it at Crave Kitchen and Bar. He said, Ian tweeted us and said, what is with all the Sask Dub teams? If it wasn't for PA, it's an absolute abomination. Before we get out of the rollout, Jared, I want your thoughts on what the hell's going on with Saskatchewan Dub teams, why they're struggling so much. Fair? I know you have some thoughts on that.
Yeah.
And then the CFL coaching / quarterback carousel. It just got a massive swing today with the firing of Jason Maas. And as a matter of fact, I have a note written here that will Mike O'Shea be the first domino? Well, I wrote it an hour ago. It's already old. Jason Maas is the first domino. Well, I guess Devon Claybrooks and Rick Campbell are the other dominoes to fall, but now Jason Maas. So let's get into that now because football, for the most part, is where our bread is buttered. And then we'll get to the Babcock Peters thing because Jared has strong thoughts on that. But I think we all saw the firing of Jason Maas coming, did we not?
I think so. I think we talked about that towards the end of the season. And even the insiders and analysts across the country that we have on this show, we all asked them, what would it take for Jason Maas to keep his job? And it seemed like nothing short of at the very least, getting to the Grey Cup. But most likely he would have had to win the Grey Cup to keep his job. He just fell out of favor. And, as a guy who's hasn't been able to deliver that in Edmonton, we kind of expected him to be gone. But I don't think we expect him to go away. I think he's going to resurface quite quickly. He's still a valuable commodity in the CFL.
I think he's a very valuable commodity. And I think what people need to realize here, that just because you're fired as a coach, your career isn't over. You would hope that somewhere along the line in each stop, you'd learn some things. I've seen a lot of coaches been fired. I've been fired. You would hope that your career is not over. You think that you've learned along the way. And that would probably be the case for Jason Maas because that is his first head coaching job. I think he's got a lot to offer, but I think what befelled Jason Maas in Edmonton from talking with Edmonton football people is that he got the talent. The general manager is the guy that buys the groceries. We've said it a million times. The coach makes the meal.
Yeah.
Brock Sunderland bought succulent groceries. And Maas burnt it.
Unfortunately. But
didn't taste too good.
No, and that comes back to, knowing where your skill set is. And for me and Jason Maas, it's unfortunately, I'm not in these rooms, these meetings, so I can't make a complete accurate assessment, but I just don't think that maybe a head coach is his wheelhouse in terms of managing everybody, controlling all of the personalities, and dealing with all of those things. We talk about him blowing up on the sidelines and kicking water bottles and coolers and that kind of stuff, and then his team ends up being one of the most penalized teams, and they take on the persona of the coach. But as an offensive coordinator and a quarterback's coach, there's no questioning his ability to get...
He knows the game.
Of course he does. Just go back and go through all of the stats from the CFL over the last number of years, all the way back to 2012 when he was the quarterbacks coach in Toronto and working with Ricky Ray. Ricky Ray was a top quarterback in this league, easily top 3 or 4 every single year, and significantly ahead of everybody else, everybody behind him. And then you go to Trevor Harris in Ottawa when he became the offensive coordinator, and then Trevor Harris in Edmonton. Every single year, he's produced one of the top quarterbacks, top 3 in the league. So he can get the job done, but it's as a quarterback's coach or as an offensive coordinator that I see his value.
Well, and maybe if he learns to tame those sideline outbursts, we will see him as a head coach one day, because they all want to be a head coach. They want to they want to call the shots.
Yeah.
And frankly, that's where the highest paycheck is too. So we were kicking around in our morning meeting what would be a good poll question today, and we didn't really settle on anything that we really love.
Yeah.
So I'd like to put it to the viewers. What would be a good poll question regarding Jason Maas? Our business development manager, Tyler, he had probably the best question, but it cut right to the heart. It was a little too, what should I say?
Tylerish.
Too Tylerish. So we had things like, where does Jason Maas end up next? BC, Saskatchewan, Ottawa, or somewhere else? Or what were the other ones?
Will he be a coach again?
Stuff like that. Yeah.
Serious,
Give us a poll question that we can put up, please. Let's have a poll for the poll. As our friend Mike Lee watching from Maui always loves when we do that. So moving on. This is where I want to move Jared in as the hockey guy. Although he dabbles in football as a fan, he's a hockey guy. So I related Maas to Babcock as we're talking about firing coaches. And by the way, I'm still not convinced that Bill Peters is going to be fired. I'm not, for reasons we can get into later. But Babcock was, and Maas was. And we have different thoughts. Like I said to Clark yesterday, I tried to get you in yesterday, Jared, and you had something going on, right? You couldn't get in yesterday? Is that correct?
I didn't see the text if it was
sent. Okay. Okay. Yeah, it was last minute. It's all good.
Last minute, yeah.
But I said to Clark, get Jared on because he's got a litany of thoughts on Mike Babcock. So the world's seen mine going back. And I just want to clarify, by the way, in no way was I condoning what Mike Babcock did and has done. I'm not. My points were that if you think he's the only guy, you're sorely mistaken. And two, I'd like to see him get a chance to change his ways and coach again because I like Babs. Those were my points, not condoning what he did. Probably did deserve to be fired. You have your thoughts, Jerry. And they go back a long ways, actually.
Yeah, I mean, when you say it like that, it makes it sound like I've decidedly I hate Babcock or something.
Well,
I don't
sound like that.
I don't hate him. I never said that. I said on Twitter, I said he's done a lot of great things. He's done great things for some of my friends, buddies, local buddies that he's still in contact with that absolutely love him. He's done some great things for mental health. So you can't forget about those things. But personally, he said things because he was beaten, and this
was in the newspaper.
Yeah, and he was an easy coach to beat because some coaches are really good with X's and O's, and it's one thing to know the X's and O's and be able to explain it to the guys and practice it. It's another thing to be on the bench, recognize what the other team is doing, and on the fly go, oh, they're doing this. Okay, we're going to switch to this system. Hey, boys, we've all practiced it. Switch to this system right now. And then the other coach can't pick it up. If the other coach can't pick that up, he's not actually in the game. So you can know what you're talking about. But if you can't recognize stuff on the fly, that's two totally different coaches. And I think that's why, people say, well, Babcock won a Stanley Cup. How didn't he win 4 or 5 with that team? He won the Olympic gold medal. How did do you think you're coaching Sidney Crosby and Getzlaff and all these guys? You're standing up there. You're just a figurehead, So, I've heard a lot of I'm not going to say anything because they're not my stories and I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus. I've heard some absolutely god-awful, terrible things that the guy's done.
Is he the only coach that you've heard bad things about?
No, these are above and beyond. These are like really... no other coach would do this. I've had coaches that I hated. Doug Sauter, I hated. I also loved him. I knew that what he was doing, I hated what he was doing, but he was doing it and he was getting the best out of us, and we'd be pissed off at him, and so we'd play better, stuff like that. But he never did anything. My grandpa died. He was the first guy to have me in the room crying with me, feeling bad for me. The guy's got a heart. There's a difference between that guy and somebody who is very helpful to everybody when the cameras are on. I would love to know what Babs does when there's going to be no media coverage, when it's just behind closed doors, to somebody that works for him that can't do anything for him, or somebody that he meets on the street. How does he treat those people? I don't know. Maybe he's a great guy. I can't say, but I would like to know that to get a better shape, because I've heard a lot of really bad stuff and I've heard a lot of really good stuff.
As you do about everybody. And that's the thing. It's funny you bring up about what he does when the camera's not there. The Humboldt Broncos camp, that spring camp, He came in and coached it, and they didn't want any media there. Babs didn't want anybody to know that he was there. But of course, my friend's kids are in the camp.
I heard exactly the opposite of that from people that were running the camp. So
I've talked to those people too.
Yeah.
Oh, do you think that he wanted people to know he was there?
That's what I heard straight out of somebody's mouth.
Well, I got a message that Babs is really mad at me that I had reported that he was there. And I said, Babs has my number. He can call me if he's that upset.
Oh,
so he can't be that upset.
Okay.
Listen, I talked to those Humboldt people too.
So I said, I'm not bringing out any stories. I'm not throwing anybody under the bus, but from certain people's mouths that were there running things, it wasn't such a good situation to have him around, and they made it clear that they didn't want him back, is what I was told. Now, I can't confirm. I wasn't the one there.
Neither one of us were, by the way.
These are stories you hear. So that's why I say I'm not making it say I don't hate Babs. I don't like the way he coaches, but I don't hate him.
But that's the difference.
I like some of the things he's done, and I really can understand why people are upset at him for other things that I've heard he's done. But I don't. I'd like to hear more about what he's actually like away from everybody. You're not going to know that type of stuff. So I mean, I think we're all just chasing our tail. He sucks. Oh, he's the best. Oh, like who cares?
Well, it comes down a little bit to what you were talking about when you say that you hope he gets another opportunity to see if he's changed. Because as I say, and I said this yesterday, we live in a different world than we did 10 years ago. We live in a different world than we did yesterday. So we should be allowed to make mistakes. Not saying that mistakes are good and should all be forgiven, but we should be allowed to grow and learn from our mistakes. And so for Mike Babcock, it's interesting because he's won everywhere and he hasn't been fired. So if you're winning and you're getting the results, and some players are being treated poorly and maybe aren't happy with you, but the world is telling you that you're successful. And the world is telling you that what you're doing works. So why would you change? So this is the first real opportunity where the world has stood up and said, Mike, what you're doing is not okay.
Yeah.
And you need to change, and we're not okay with it, and we're not okay with being recognized like this. So now he better go away, hopefully, and take all of his own advice, assess the situation, see it all, reflect, and realize, okay, maybe this doesn't work anymore, and I need to change. And if he does, I'd love to see him on another bench. If he doesn't want to change, then maybe the game's passed him by.
Exactly. That's exactly. Yeah, you couldn't have said it any better.
Aren't we all saying that?
Let's see what he does from now on. Let's see what he's actually like. Is he gonna, if he continues to try and be that hard ass coach, that's it's not the '80s. That worked in the '80s, '90s. Guys my age, I responded to that. I wouldn't know how to respond to these cerebral coaches. I don't know. I didn't grow up with that. You needed a kick in the ass. The guys today, they didn't grow up with that. They grew up all pampered, and they got to have an opinion and whatever they think. Matt, okay, fine. You got to be able to coach that. If you can't, you're going to go kick those guys in the ass like Marner, and he's going to go, what just happened? I've never experienced that. So that doesn't work.
And it's a complete difference.
Whether it's right or wrong, it was right in the '80s. Now it's not right.
But you know this.
So you can't do it.
But that's what I said. That was what I was saying yesterday. They need the opportunity to change rather than be just fired and out of the game, because they got a lot to offer. I have a tough time with people saying that Mike Babcock's a horrible human being, because quite frankly, I reserve horrible human being status for really horrible human beings.
Yeah, but I'm a horrible human being to certain people that I've interacted with that I don't like. I'm an unbelievably amazing human being to certain people that I interacted with. Everybody is. You are. Everybody's good and everybody's bad. But let's see, like you said, you guys both said, we've all said now, let's see where does he go from here? Does he continue to go, wow, this is my way or the highway? I'm just going to be a hard ass because this is what I know. That's not going to work. He's going to be out right away. Is he going to change and go, okay, now I'm going to communicate with my players. I'm not going to be playing stupid mind games. I'm going to actually figure out how to communicate with these guys. If he can do that, I'll be the first one to go, holy man, this guy's smart.
Not sure he's interested in doing that or not. But Robin in Prince Albert says, does Babs even want to coach? 3 years left at $6 million per season. Well, not only do I have a lot of friends that are coaches, I've got a lot of friends who have been fired as coaches, and to a man, they all say, I don't want to be remembered this way. Yeah. They don't want that to be their last job. And I would suggest Babs is the same. Look, we got a break. As Lane has just written in and said, this show is on point. Yes, it is. We're going back and forth between CFL and hockey today and whatever else comes up. We'll be back in a moment. This has been the Rollout for Flooring Superstores and our friends over there, the Dick and family-run business, Flooring Superstores in Regina. You're watching The Rod Pedersen Show on Facebook Live and listen live at rodpeterson.com.
You're watching Rod Pedersen on demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpeterson.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.